Kieran, you're listening to this. Is now the right time for tax cuts, given economists have warned not to give tax cuts at this stage?
Yeah, look, when the National Party loses economists, they really should take pause for thought there. When you've got the likes of Cameron Baggery and Brad Olson and others saying, or at least questioning whether this is a smart move at the moment, it is a hard thing to sell, I think, when New Zealanders are losing and the things that they care about, and there's questions about other things that really make a difference, like school lunches, etc. When the government is giving $2.9 billion to landlords and then say, no, we can't afford the services that Kiwis enjoy, no, I don't think this is time for tax cuts. The National Party's plan didn't add up before the election, and it doesn't add up now. And I think the most telling thing about the release of the policy statement was that the allowance that every finance minister leading up to a budget has announced at this point wasn't announced yesterday. Something's not right. Someone doesn't agree with someone else. And so Nicola couldn't do what is the convention and release what the allowance is for the budget. So it's actually not good enough. It's not good enough to say, oh, well, it'll be below this point. If the finance minister basically should just do what everyone else does and be upfront with Kiwis as to what's going to be spent.
The difference between...
Now, that was said by a few commentators yesterday as well. Basically, the reason that there is a lot of wiggle room in that announcement yesterday, the statement, is that they haven't got everything across the line yet. And they've got to go through New Zealand First, who doesn't want tax cuts, and ACT, who would go much, much further with tax cuts. And so you're going to have this room where they've promised tax cuts and they have to negotiate with someone who wants more and someone who wants none. And that's why they've been, according to several commentators, that's why they've been a bit... well, I think Shamuel Jacob talked about it's a pamphlet or whatever word he used. So this is part of it.
What we need is a side-by-side column, right, of what we can't have so these landlords can get their tax cuts, right? We can't have vital national infrastructure protected in the long term. We can't have kids being fed and kids being able to take the bus to work to school. Yep. We can't have disability support. We can't have this, that, and the other thing. And you go, is this worth it? This is what you get if this is what we're taking away from you and the people around you. And like, it's not being anti-tax cut. It's going, there's so many reasons why National should just take a knee on this and go, you know what? We've had a look at the books. The numbers don't work. You know, they can even spin this however they want. I think
blame Labour. They could blame Labour.
They could blame Labour. They could go back on the fact that, like, hey, look, we're good economic stewards, even though that's not backed up with history. But they could say it, and they could get their numbers to work. They could take stock and redo. If you have a position and you keep that position in the face of evidence, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I actually think in this conversation, it comes up, we'll go back to it now, that about when John Key promised tax cuts, he had to actually say first time around, okay, we have to put these off because we can't. He actually did that. I think that comes up in this conversation.
Us and between Nicola and Grant Robertson is that Grant would publish an allowance in the budget policy statement and then break it in every budget. We're intending to publish a budget allowance in the budget and stick to it. That's part of the reason why we've got such big increases in spending is that Grant.
But Chris, we do know that former Prime Minister John Key, he also talked about tax cuts, but he held off for a year. Do you think Nicola Willis would consider this and maybe hold it off for a year?
The National Party campaigned. Everyone remembers the election campaign. It was the centrepiece of the election.
So this just shows how terrible they are at politics, how terrible they are at actually. So basically what you're saying is if you start, remember the business party, if you started a business and you said to the shareholders and to the board as the new CEO, we're going to go in and we're going to do X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. You got into that business and you saw the books and you realized you couldn't do that. And if you did, it would be detrimental to the business. The right thing to do as a CEO would then be to say, hey guys, we've looked at the books. It's not going to work. So we're going to reassess. We're still going to get there, but it's not going to happen now. To actually say, he's actually saying, because we promised we were going to do it, nothing else matters. We have to do it. It's a terrible, terrible practice, and it's a piss poor business practice from the I'm good at business party.
Yeah, absolutely.
That the National Party alongside our coalition government won to deliver tax relief because New Zealanders have faced a prolonged cost of living crisis and have not had a tax cut since 2010.
Who cares?
That is 14 years that New Zealanders have been waiting for adjustments.
You can count. Well done, son.
To tax brackets, and more New Zealanders are paying higher and higher rates of tax. We think we can get spending under control, get the debt curve trending down.
Okay, so here's the challenge. We think we can get spending under control. Okay. There's this philosophy in business about what money do you spend. Do you spend tomorrow's money, which is the invoices that go out? You shouldn't spend that money. Do you spend today's money, which are the invoices that have come back to you? Probably not. Do you spend yesterday's money? Tomorrow's, today's, yesterday's. You want to spend yesterday's money. You want to spend the money that's in the bank, not today's money or not tomorrow's money. You want to spend yesterday's money. These guys are saying we can get spending down. So, okay, here's the challenge. Get spending down and then do your tax cuts. Like don't do the tax cuts. Don't do the dessert first and go, oh, we imagine that our first two courses are going to be really good as well. Get your first two courses really good and then have the dessert. Don't throw the dessert out first, because what you're saying is we have to do it. They haven't done it since 2014. We promised it, so we're going to, and trust us, everything will be fine. That's what they're saying, Chewy.
It's an absolutely classic thing to under-promise and over-deliver. Right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they ran their election campaign on even the same things that the Bish is saying here? It has been a long time since tax relief has been delivered. We believe that New Zealanders deserve it. We want to deliver them for the second budget, right? And then you get in and you see the books and you go, oh shit, things are worse than we thought. Thank God we didn't promise tax cuts this time round. Or alternatively, get in, you see Labour's built up a big surplus, and you go, you know what? We'll drop this on people in the first budget. Yeah. Like, either way, you come out on top. Yeah. What they've done is they've made some stupid promises.
Well, it's more than that, though. They've made stupid promises, and now they're being so pig-headed to stick to them. So everyone makes election promises that they're not going to be able to fulfill, especially in a coalition. But step one is they made stupid promises. Step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to probably step 99, is now they're forcing them through. That's the thing, yeah?